Actually. Because people said there was, there were just things in there, but it was
They just laziness, I don't know, with other stuff. So you gotta figure out a way to knock that out. But there always gonna be a few, but the rest are not.
Yeah.
Going on. So you gotta figure out what you do ahead of time. Register for it.
And then I was with them.
Much, yeah. No.
Just seems like it was no back.
You're never gonna eliminate it, but you can. Well, you can cut that way down. Since Tuesday.
Yeah, because we're talking about back. And then. More space. And then they're tired to be. Well, we started. And of course, the one time I. But in the past, we get. So what I did, I did something three times. Usually we can get and they. Yes. I think it's very like about sleeping. Yeah, yeah, so no. We want to keep the problems. But not all the reason. So like, yeah, so you know, so very. Sometimes they give us. Like fire fires. They're not gonna learn you all your courses.
It's your.
Oh, you're right.
And either way, so I was gonna go by and say.
So it's usually right as us.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It is now 7:06 on Monday, April 28th, 2025. And we're going to start the city council special meeting for the budget committee. First thing now is please stand for pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our first order of business is the election of the chair and secretary. Anyone else like to start or make a motion?
Your Honor, maybe I can just mention the role of the two.
Please do.
The chair is generally a layperson. And whoever's elected to be the chair can trade seats with Amy, because that's where the gavel is. Actually, we can just move the gavel. Yeah. But the role, so that's self-explanatory. But for the secretary's role would be to look at the minutes prepared by staff and certify those. And then once the secretary certifies those draft minutes, they go to council meeting in June to be approved. So that would be the role of the secretary. Do those draft minutes, certify council. So with that, Your Honor, you want to take some nominations?
First question, where is the two that seem to be absent? You reach out, we know what's going on.
We haven't heard from anybody that wasn't gonna make it tonight, right? Ivan and
No,
Responses?
everyone got the package, a budget package, everyone got the little reminder, everyone got a agenda. Nobody called me and said they weren't coming.
What was the last time anybody actually talked to them? Was it good? Yeah, there's sometimes a new reminder. Don't know.
probably when the meeting got changed the last time too. Instead of the 21st, being the first meeting, moved to the 28th. That would have been the last time.
Chris. So would anybody like to make a motion for a chair for the budget committee?
I will, nominate Amy Skinner for chair.
We have a second.
That's it.
A motion and a second. Are any other nominations to be presented? As there is a motion and a second now to nominate Amy Skinner as the chair for the budget committee, let's do a roll call vote. Ms. Harvey,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Jessica Geddes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Lisa,
Yes.
and it is unanimous. Lisa, congratulations. You're out with the shirts and here's your gavel. You like to continue with the rest of the with the secretary? Okay. Can we get a nomination for secretary, please?
He wants to be secretary.
Preston, maybe,
Like, nominate someone if we don't know if they want to actually be.
Preston, maybe it'll help if you just let them know that the secretary doesn't do anything.
Three spots.
They don't have to do the minutes or the notes, they just have to take over if the chair's not here.
Check records.
Well, anybody can be the secretary, you know, their role is to review the draft minutes. And then basically certify those.
We don't need, I have
For the council.
Can you account for two?
Yes, you bet.
Oh, it can't be accounted.
Sure.
I'm only two, so we must not. Secretary.
I nominate Brian Wagner as secretary.
I was gonna nominate Jesse, but.
well, thank you. Yeah.
Anyway, let's get the food, please. So you still need a second.
I second Brian. Unless.
No, no.
No other nominations? Okay, there's a motion, a second. We'll do a roll call. Kathy,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Jesse.
Aye.
Amy,
I
Audra, and Lisa.
Yes.
All right, it's been approved. I will be the secretary. I will not want to skirt. All right, so the next thing on the agenda right now is the presentation of the fiscal year 2026 recommended budget. We will. You're moveful.
You're not saying any guidance now.
Yes, that's what I just let them know.
Okay.
I'm going to continue on. Yes, you're the chair. That means next step, so. Right here. So, I'm gonna ask.
Oh, he gets to actually present the whole thing.
Next item on the agenda.
Next item on the agenda, presentation of the fiscal year 2026 recommended budget. Please, Preston.
Thank you very much. If I could, get you to turn in a couple of pages in your budget through the budget message. I just want to highlight a couple of things there. I'm not going to go through it all. Can certainly answer questions. We've got a lot of good stuff to talk about. I wanted to jump right in with part of the distinctive part of the budget here for next year. That is the CIP, which is the capital improvement program. And there's actually 6 projects here on our CIP here for next year. It involves water, sewer, streets, storm. It's wonderful projects. They're not placed in a priority order, but I've listed this as a 3-year CIP. So there's not a lot of pressure to get it done the first year. We got about a 3-year plan, and each year, through the budget committee, staff can recommend some changes or modifications to existing projects or adding new ones. So it's a real living document, the CIP, but it serves many purposes. Number one, a CIP approved by the budget committee, adopted by the council, must be in place if you're going to use SDCs, which are system development charges. Any use of SDCs has to be on an approved CIP to implement and expend those monies. It also has to be derived from your master plan. So accounting for SDCs and how they're used, how they're budgeted for, is all regulated by statute. So the CIP allows for the final expenditure of SDC funds when they're involved in a project. The CIP also lets you plan for projects that are sometimes one-time ones, like most of these can be done in any fiscal year, but there are a couple here that are multi-year projects. And I just want to talk about those briefly. The first one is the only grant in the budget this year. That's the SCA grant, Small Cities Allotment Grant, for the Douglas defer improvements along First Street. $250,000 along with some street monies makes for a real substantial project. And this is actually going to be a 2-year project. If they start designing it this year, won't actually go to bid until early next year. They won't be constructed in late summer. So the grants will probably not be received or expended until the following fiscal year. But we recognize it in the budget just because it's been awarded, and we haven't received the funds yet. But those are locked in for this project, and that's a 2-year project. The other one I wanted to highlight is phase 1 of water pump upgrades, and this is going to be a multi-phase project. This first phase gets the preliminary design going. Phase 2 next year will probably finish the design. Then at that point, what you'll have is a shovel-ready project. If it's shovel-ready, then you can pursue grants. And this project right now, preliminary estimates to construct, it's going to be about a $1.5 million project. So you get that engineering done over a couple of years, and now you've got a project on the shelf, ready to go, and you're looking for money. If you're lucky to get a grant, fabulous. If you're probably unlikely to get a really low interest loan because those are reserved for communities that qualify. My guess is Jervis doesn't qualify because all the new housing has raised the median income enough that the conditions will probably preclude you from getting a low interest loan. But that all has to be explored. If you've got a shovel-ready project, you start looking for money. And it's sort of like the wastewater improvements that were completed this year at the treatment plant. That project was designed, the city was looking for grants, and then along came the American Rescue Plan. Perfect type of construction that they were looking for, and the city was awarded a $1 million grant. So like most things, timing is critical for those kind of things. So this project in particular, I call it water pump upgrade. It's not a very, it's not a good title with pizzazz. Hard to put pizzazz in the water, sewer, and storm projects, but this is very important for the water system. And it allows the city to meet peak times of demand. And with these upgrade and facilities, the city will be able to meet those efficiencies. They'll achieve operational efficiencies. They can meet peak demand. Right now, there's not peace of mind that given certain peaks, certain days, you're going to meet demand. It's not good. So this is a very important project that increases the efficiencies of your current operations. The last sentence there is very important. It says that this project does not increase water supply. Very important, which is a good segue into a brief discussion about growth management. And then we're going to come back to the budget. But briefly, it's very important for the city to be planning to accommodate the needs of future growth. And I'm talking specifically water and sewer. It's incumbent upon any city to plan for this. And in light of the new density requirements that have been mandated by the legislature, as a city, we want to know exactly how many homes we can put on our system, water and sewer. How many homes can we accommodate? With an updated buildable land inventory in the city and in the UGB, you'll get a sense of how many homes it's going to possibly want to develop in the city limits. Together with an engineering study that gives you a facilities capacity estimate for both water and sewer, you meld those and you come up with an amount of homes you can add to the system. Very important. Because if you first come, first serve, once you get to that point, you're talking building moratorium. Can't add anymore. If you don't stop, then you risk overwhelming one of your systems. Water, for instance, you'll have to start rationing and even taking worse measures. If you've never been on water rationing, it's horrible. You don't do that. The whole idea of growth management is not to overbuild. Plan, and this folds into your water and sewer rates. Now, you may, a couple of years from now, go out for a bond, say for $2 million, and do water system upgrades for what you've got right in front of you. But you have to start looking at your water rates, especially to make those investments in the master plan, which increase your water supply. And there's only three options. You either develop water rights that you have, acquire new water rights, or you hook into another system. That's it. Those are the only options. And so Kyle's prepared. We've got all the needs in the budget under professional services to begin working with the new manager to start looking at options to build your water supply. In the meantime, you have your engineering study on your capacities, your buildable land inventory. You find out what your limit is on how many homes you can hook up to the system. This helps guide your growth. Water and sewer rates for your enterprise funds need to have more, they need to be raised to address some of these long-term needs. And people say, well, we have an obligation to maintain affordable rates. That is correct. affordable rate system addresses your current and your long-term needs both. So that needs to be looked at. It's been a long time since rates have been raised, and you got to start planning for that. And Kyle is prepared to begin working with the manager, get the consultants going, and start working down that path to have good numbers for growth management. Very important. That's going to lead a lot of the numbers in your future budgets. So right now, there's no money to address your, in the project, address construction for a new water supply. That's not in this budget. But the planning and consultant analyses, yes, that's all in there, and that will begin this next fiscal year. Yes.
So is there money for when things break? Is that in there too? Because
You
we have a
bet.
lot of things where,
You bet.
so that's part of sustaining.
Well, yes, you have your maintaining your operation and repairs. That's an ongoing thing every year. What I've talked about in the CIP and in growth management, that's new construction. So, new construction, you can utilize STCs if they're in your master plan. You can apply for grants for shovel-ready projects. So there is assistance available, but the budget committee and the city council are going to have to be thinking about raising water rates and possibly going out for a bond the next couple of years. And I'm thinking water, yes, for water improvements. And this could very well be the first project you want to get done and have peace of mind about current operations and being able to meet peak demand on those toughest days. So now we're gonna come back to the budget. So before we leave the budget message, the first paragraph there, we'll talk a little bit about what it took to get us to this point right now with this budget. And it's not, tonight is a milestone. Having a good budget is one of the most important decisions you make every year. The biggest decision for the budget committee. It's definitely even the city council. There's probably nothing more than establishing a good budget, financial plan for the next year. And so I want to talk about that a little bit, about where we're at right now, and where the city's headed. And really, the city's not going to have its feet under them financially until about 6 months from now. This is an important step, but like I mentioned in the budget, it's not based on the best numbers. We're doing the best we can to identify the numbers that drive this budget. And as we look closer to the budget, I'll point out where those numbers are. But there's, looking ahead, say 6 months from now, you're going to have another interim city manager or your permanent city manager. And about then is when the city is going to do several things financially. It's going to all come together. You'll have, and it could require a supplemental budget, which would mean a reconvening of the budget committee, but there's no harm in that. Just do a mid-year, plan on a mid-year budget committee meeting, and you take care of a lot of things at once. And the things that are going to come together in 6 months are, number one, you'll have the audit done on fiscal year 2024. That audit is starting in early May. It's already started now, actually. They're gonna be on site in early May to wrap their data gathering, and then they're gonna write their audit. So fiscal year 2024 audit is actually underway as we speak. The other major thing is the end of this year, fiscal year 2025. As this budget wraps up, there'll be a lot of adjustments in June. Before you adopt the budget for next year, you'll adopt all the budgetary adjustments at the end of this year, which will be based on better numbers and making sure all of your funds and the categories within the funds all balance in here. Beyond that, okay, in addition to that, I should say, the third thing is you got the numbers from fiscal year 2027. Now, all of those numbers can be reconciled about 6 months from now through a supplemental budget, through other transfers, through a meeting about 6 months, to where you'll have audited numbers, you'll have really solid numbers in the budget. You'll have a new column of numbers in the city's financial software, to where the manager, department heads will have the tools they need to monitor their budgets, can run reports, budget to date. Those tools aren't available right now. It gives you an indication of how far behind the city got over the last couple of years. We're working our way out of that. We're consultants. You've got a lot of consultants. They're working hard on it. And that's why I think there'll probably be tools for the next interim to monitor the budget based on the numbers you adopt tonight. But still, to consider, you got your financial feet under you, feet on the ground, got all the tools available. You're still not going to have that for about another 6 months. So it was a big effort to get this budget together in light of a lot of that. And as we look at the numbers specifically, I'll tell you which numbers to pay attention to. When those numbers get reconciled, they come up for final changes. So just to give you an idea of the consultants the city has to assist staff in their administration of the city, as well as to help develop policies on the council. You've got Gordon Monroe, our city engineer, Toby Roth with our RADW, the auditing firm, Sarah Johnson, our CPA, information technology services are provided to the city from the city of Woodburn. Legal services are Tyler Gilman Millette, who you know. Our city planner is Holly Byron with the COG, and the council appoints the municipal judge. Lori, what's Lori's last name? Pardon me? The Coolies. She's the judge. Yeah. Lots of great consultants, assisting staff and council, policy making and administration. Okay. Let's move on to the organizational chart.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why, and someone probably knows this, I don't, why is our IT infrastructure and stuff coming from Woodburn? Is DataVision not up to par for it? Or is there a reason we go out of city to have services?
That's a good question. My guess is Woodburn provides all the services that we need, but I don't know. this is who we have. And, as far as what the availability of other services are, I couldn't tell you. But for one city to provide IT services to another is above and beyond the norm. You know, as you probably know, to do anything well and to stretch the dollars, cities need to collaborate with one another. We do it across the board on many services. But IT is not one of those typical services. This is really a case of them helping out above and beyond. And I don't know how it got started and all, but they do a great job. Our needs are very similar to what Woodburn's needs. And the fact that they take us under their wing and help us with all of our needs is really great. I don't know another city that does that. So I can't really answer your question why.
Is it something,
Working
that-
with what we got.
okay,
Uh,
is that something the council could look into or something along those lines? I just think, in my opinion, it may be fiscally prudent for us to do it and also to utilize what we already have in this city that serves the residents of this city rather than an outside company.
Well, it's not too far outside.
But
Plus
it's,
their
but it's
general-
not right next door either.
Yeah, but I think once I look into it, the amount of services really are really way out of bounds. But that's something that can be looked at. You bet.
Thank you.
Service contracts, or IGAs, they're not permanent. There are ways to get out of those if you give proper notice and those kind of things. That could be said for basically all the kinds of services that you have.
Right.
But I know your point is, why not utilize something here in our own city?
Yeah.
Right. And that's really something that the city should do. I just don't think, I think Woodburn would be the closest, but that's something that could be looked into. So on this chart, no matter who tries to tell you different, we're still a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's why the citizens of Jervis are on top of our org chart. And they should be on top of every city's org chart. And below that, you have the council, the manager, all the structure of the administration. I think if I had to do this again, I'd draw lines between the city council and the city manager, and there'd be two boxes to the side. You have your municipal court judge on one side and your legal services on the other, because they provide services directly to council and the manager. So if I had to tidy up the org chart again, I'd put those boxes right there. It better illustrates who these report to. City attorney reports to both council and the manager. The Muni County George is appointed by the council, but it's administered by the manager. The court is administered by the manager. So good place for those boxes. Okay, so we're moving on, and I'm gonna skip ahead some pages. I'm gonna add on two pie charts. We can certainly talk about them if you want. Go to the budget summary page on page 16. I wanted to just talk very briefly about this page. You can see how the trend looks negative. Going from last year to this year, the city's got a lot less money. And And I want to explain, looks can be deceiving, and they are right here. A lot of what this budget, $1.5 million difference in the budget is, that's really about what the one-time grants were that came through the city. The construction grants, FEMA grants, that explains a lot of the difference between the 2 years. So you take those out and it's pretty close to the same. You can't discern too much from this page, but it's good to have it in summary form for discussion. I just don't want you to be alarmed in any way that those numbers are showing a trend that's negative. It's one-time activities can really distort what your overall budget numbers are. The next page is the summary of activities across all the funds. And I want to spend a little more time on this page because there's a lot to be deciphered from this page. I kind of breezed over the budget system of accounting that the city has, and I should probably state that now. It's called a modified cash basis for accounting. And basically, this is like we're all used to. You don't have money until you stick it in your wallet. You spend it when you take it out. That's how cash-based accounting works. You don't recognize obligations until those obligations are spent. We don't track encumbrances over fiscal years. It's revenue comes in, we log it when it comes in, and expenditures are logged when they go out. Cash basis, real simple. It's what I'm used to. And okay, so this sheet here, this summary sheet tells us a lot. In the bottom right-hand corner, you've got a full number there, total, your balanced budget, expenditures, and revenues equal just over 7 million. And whatever that number is, as we go through and we modify the number tonight, I have one change to bring up. That's the number that you'll be adopting, if not adopting, but approving as part of the final motion to approve the budget. Okay. And you're basically approving the budget as presented with a few changes. And so if you were, now there's more funds that go across the page here. The city has more funds than's listed here. So you can imagine there's some of them are combined just for column purposes. So there's more funds. And let me say, when anybody says, oh, gee, government ought to be more like a business, they're not talking about finances. Because we're nothing like a business when it comes to finance. Yeah, we do payroll, a lot the same. But when it comes to budgeting and using funds, some are fully dedicated, some are partially. This is nothing like you see in the private sector. None whatsoever. And that's a good thing. We have several funds. They all do their own thing. So if you were to just draw columns down and make this into a box, you'd have many boxes in here. Many boxes in many funds, basically. And this is the basis of local budget law. Every one of those boxes need to be in the black at the end of the year. Every one of those boxes. So for the general fund, you've got, how many boxes going down here? A dozen different boxes. That all has to balance as a fund and each box by the end of the year. The same for every fund. That is local budget law. That's why you need to have good tools to monitor budget to date. That's why you monitor your budget to see where you're expending in different places. It's a lot of it is really common sense. And I've worked in California, and I learned that I'll never complain about the rain again. But I also learned I'm not going to complain about local budget law. Oregon's local budget law. That all these hoops and guardrails and hurdles and everything. Well, I've been in California. I know how it works. Cities go broken. They don't go broken. Cities don't go broken Oregon. Although I've managed cities that were bankrupt in their general fund, doesn't mean you're broke overall. But in California, you have cities and counties that actually go broke. That doesn't happen in Oregon because of local budget law. So in a nutshell, this one page describes the biggest regulations concerning our financial monitoring and responsibility. And it's your staff's responsibility to make sure at the end of the year, those are all in the black. You don't have the best data to determine that this year. Some things may be in the red. That's okay. Your consultants and your staff are going to do the best they can, but believe me, the state knows how hard Jervis has been working to get their feet back financially. Nothing bad is going to happen.
So are you saying that we're in the red?
No,
Okay, that and that.
no. I'm saying, I don't know for sure.
Oh,
And at the
That's-
beginning of the year, there is no red, you see. But as you proceed through the end of the year, you spend. But you need to have those tools to monitor and be in the black by the end of the year.
will that come with your software?
The software,
This is Cobalt, it's old.
yes, but the municipal software that you're talking about is not helpful right now.
No,
But the new city manager that comes in the interim can direct the fiscal year activities that the budget committee adopts, hopefully tonight, can be inputted, and there is, some semblance of that. But like I said, you're not really gonna be on firm financial ground until all the numbers get brought up to speed. That's about 6 months. And that can all be done at once, and then all the new numbers get put in,
right.
and you can have really confidence. Have all the tools available to monitor the budget.
I just wanted to clear. So it doesn't get blown up.
You bet. Yeah, good question.
Because we're not.
So a couple other things on the sheet I want to point out, because the summary, it's good to see, these things that jump out at you. Toward the bottom there, you have contingencies. You'll see there's basically no contingencies except for wastewater fund. But I left a little bit in there in general fund, only because it's important to have contingency. And if it's blank, it might be forgotten, but it's something the city needs to work on. As you develop budgets, as you go through the process, each year, you put a little more away into your general fund contingency. Because like I said earlier, all your funds do a specific job. And the general fund job is to be the backbone of the city. It's, the council budget committee can use general fund monies on a wide range of activities. And they can be the fund that bolsters other funds that can be. For matching funds, for loans, that sort of thing. We're paying off this fiscal year an intra-fund loan between water and wastewater. That all got paid off. And if you have a healthy general fund, you can borrow from the general fund. But all the funds need to pay their fair share of certain citywide expenses. I kind of alluded to this in the budget message, but there are, in my opinion, there's some cleanup in the budget as far as removing some of the departments and putting those in operations. It's a style thing more than anything. It's an efficiency thing. It's not that critical really, but you've got departments in the general fund, a park, a water and a wastewater that, those can be in the operating funds. It just streamlines your budget. It makes it easier to find stuff, and that somebody else can do that. But also another budgetary thing to look at that's more substantial really is the distribution of staff across all the funds. And then also a way to have all funds pay for their share of certain citywide expenditures. Like audit, like insurance, like one-time activities that support the city. So there's a number of citywide activities that actually could be charged back to all the funds, including general fund. But once that's done and the staff, then you're really ready to start looking at projections and as well as water and sewer rates. That's kind of the steps that these all go through. Certainly not a race. Be talking about water and sewer rates. These other things have to be done first. But you need to be preparing yourselves for considering, especially water rate increases in the not too distant future. The other thing on this page here that I'd probably like to highlight a bit is your unappropriated ending fund balances. And there's only one that occurs in a reserve fund. Generally, you don't want to put money in there unless you have to. If you put money in there, that means you're absolutely not going to use it. And at least for this next year, all the monies available to a city are available to be used. You can only use monies that have proper budget authorization in the approved budget. It still goes through the channels and then has to be approved by the city manager. But those monies are available to use. There certainly could have been unappropriated, but still, I wouldn't put them there. I put them in contingencies. But for now, all the monies of the city, except for very little of it, is all can be utilized for the needs in that fund. That's quite a departure from where the city's been budgeting the last few years. That's part of it is you don't know what's going to come at you next year. And the other part is style. I just don't like pigeonholing money, knowing that you won't be able to touch it for that year. And if you put money in unappropriated, you're not going to be able to touch it. Very difficult to gain access to those funds. Uh, Okay, so one other thing to kind of draw your attention to, the property tax. You see that amount for general fund? That amount in property taxes, is a conservative number. I think when we're dealing with some numbers that aren't as firm as we would like, and I'll point those out. I like the budget. I just generally always budget on a conservative side when it comes to your revenues. Expenditures, you budget for what you need. And generally, when you do that, you're not going to overspend. And not that that's a general concern, but I just, the worst thing is you're scrambling for money because you overestimated your revenues. You don't want that to happen. It's like overbuilding on your water, on homes, and all of a sudden you don't have enough water to get around. You can't do that. And so just to put that 1.1 million in perspective, which all I did was add the 3%. I didn't add the new valuation of the tax base. If we were to look at the police department, which is, just 3 pages later, page 21, you can see that the police department's running about 1.1 million. Well, that's about what you're bringing in property taxes. And I point that out only because for smaller cities, of which Jervis is, any city under 5,000, I consider it a small city, tend to have higher expenditures in the police department than what they bring in property taxes. In Jervis's case, you're right there, so you're as kind of a litmus test in that respect, you're about where everybody else is. I've seen a few cities that are way underwater on their police services, based on what they come in property taxes. Well, it's just a way to compare maybe among cities. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means you have to make up that revenue somewhere else. So interestingly, you're about the same, police and property taxes. Thought that was an interesting comparison.
That's the general fund, revenue line item 9. Notice 22-23, there was 24-28 in miscellaneous. Then in 23-24, it jumped to 33,798. And then back down to 5,000. Is there a list of line items under miscellaneous that they should know about? And also, do we know why it was such a huge jump?
No,
'Cause
we
that's
don't
a lot
know
of
why.
money.
Because that requires having a software system that can give you that information, and it requires a lot of research. So the budgeted numbers are based a lot on prior years. Because we don't have audited figures, it says, adopted budget, it's not actual, it doesn't say actual on any of these columns because they're not actual. Okay, so there's a little bit less utility in going back and see what was spent a year ago or 2 years ago. So I know that there were some big projects that happened then, but I'm basing next year's on what looks like reality for the department that we have. And talking with Carlos and understanding police departments, these are better numbers.
And that's a huge jump, and there's no breakdown.
Right.
What it was for, that's.
Well, and you don't want miscellaneous to be,
You want to
Jumping
know what
out.
a breakdown.
Yeah.
Or if it's that big.
yeah, correct. So you don't want big jumps in the miscellaneous. And this is as good a time now as any to take that page you're looking at. If everybody's looking at police, is to look at that page and, let me provide some more guidance on how to read the budget and all. Okay, so in a perfect world, you would have the adopted budget column on 2024-25, and then you would have actuals for the two preceding years. So you'd have basically 3 running years of information. And then you have your account numbers, your line items, basically the descriptions, and then the amount budgeted into a proposed for next year. What you're not seeing on the other rest of the page here are the 2 columns of the budget committee approved, and then the final would be the council adopted. So these budget forms required by the state require all those columns, 3 prior and 3 current. Proposed, the approved, and the adopted. These account numbers, not that you don't need to memorize any of those, but basically those 3 sections of numbers refer to your fund, general fund being 100, your department 511 being police, and then your activity number is your last 4 digits. And these activity numbers throughout the departments and the funds, they track one another so that the system can bring up summary statistics if you ever want to know that. And it's important when you say, okay, city manager, what are the salaries across all the funds? What's your total? And it could be for professional services, supplies, or miscellaneous. These headings here, are called their categories. Personnel services, materials and services, capital. Those are categories. And since this is a department, this is a bad example. Let me move to, okay, let me back up. Let me back up to the page prior is your administration, and that's a department within the general fund. So let's pull forward and go. There's your parks, muni court, mayor's council. These are all departments within the general fund. And if you turn to page 26, you'll see categories here: personnel services, capital, interfund transfers. Those are all the categories within the general fund that local budget law requires those to be balanced. Pardon me?
26. Yes, 26.
26 is one page there that summarizes,
That's what.
yes, page 26
Yeah, 'cause
summarizes the general fund, right?
It's just the.
And the box between, I think it'd be better to go back to page 17. Let's talk about 17 again. This is our summary of all the funds. And we're talking about all the boxes. You go down on the general fund there and you look at personnel service. And, you know, that's combines several departments. several line items. Not every one of those line items need to balance. Those line items are like guides in a way. It's the personnel services that has to balance at the end of the year. You may have employees that come and go. As long as those are balanced, then you're fine. Materials and services, the next number there for the general fund. That's a combined of all the different departments. You know, all the different line items within those departments. Those line items are guides to help in budgeting, to understand, like in that police department, materials and services as $171,000. Well, there's 20 things that go into that. Those are all guides. But at the end of the day, they all have to balance the materials and services. Every category within every fund has to be balanced. So getting back to this page here on 17, you'll notice the very first line there called your beginning fund balance. That is probably your most important number across all the funds for next fiscal year. These are the numbers based on what you've done the last couple of years. What you think you've done the last couple of years without having audited numbers. How you're going to end up this year. This is what we project as the beginning fund balance for next year. There's a lot that goes into those numbers. And if the budget is off quite a bit, 6 months from now, you can say, oh, that Preston didn't know what he was talking about. I bet it's going to go back to these numbers, these beginning fund balances. And hopefully they're going to be higher. I don't want these numbers to think where they're going to be right there perfectly. No, I want it lower. You want conservative numbers to base our budget. If the case it comes in higher, wonderful. So if anything changes in this budget a lot, number wise, it'll be that beginning line across all your funds, your beginning fund balance, especially the general fund. So those are the numbers to look at. And the biggest numbers you'll correct 6 months from now will be those beginning fund balances. Okay. How are we doing so far? Everybody okay? Doing okay? Everybody seems awake. It's good. All right. So let's go through the budget. Next, I want to talk page 20. I'm not going to go through all these pages. No. We are going sprinting toward the finish line. Page 20. This is where a change occurs, and page 19 and 20. And there was a line item here for grants that I misread. And you can see that there's a blank there on page 19 for grants coming into the general fund. There also needs to be a place to expend those in materials and services and capital, 25 each. Basically, I didn't read that correctly, and I thought there was 50,000 in there because I always put a grant in the general fund. It's a placeholder in case something comes up during the year. You might get
The 50,000 on the liquor tax, the grant spot on mine is blank.
great. And I thought that was the 50 I put in there for grants. There's actually 50,000 for the liquor tax. There's
Okay.
nothing in there for grant.
Okay.
So the one change, I want to put 50,000 in.
Oh, for
Yes, I want to put that under there and then add the expenditures on the next page, material service amount. So bottom line is it's going to increase this total number on page 17 it's gonna increase it $50,000 as far as what you would want to approve as your bottom line number.
So you wanna go from 5,000 to 50,000?
No, it's actually blank.
I know, but you,
Adopted budget,
Previous
the last
years.
adopted was 5,000.
Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Past years, not the best guide to what we have going on in next year's budget. And the grants, I don't know what that was. But this will be a placeholder next year in case something comes in. You could get a $10,000 grant to put in a Veterans Memorial. Okay, so maybe it's a $15,000 project, maybe it's 20, you get 5 from a private, 10 from a grant, the city, it's parks money, puts in the other 5. The other 10's taken right out of capital outlay on page 20, right out of the general fund. You might get a grant to do a market study of your downtown. Do a traffic study for an intersection, for grants on many different things. And so you'll have $25,000 in materials and services and in capital to spend those, depending on the nature of the grant. I should probably think more, because I've always done 50. You know, money doesn't quite go as much as it does anymore, but that's okay. As a placeholder, you've got money to work those grants, and they weren't even anticipated other than most places. Doesn't have to go through a special approval process or nothing. You accept those grants and you can implement them right away. It also helps you work with somebody like the example, the Veterans Fund Memorial. You get a grant, you're ready to act, ready to make commitments. You're ready to say, yeah, we could match that fundraising project 50-50. Because it's in your budget. So it's nice to have a placeholder.
There's a question too. What's the transfer in from the DARE fund?
yeah,
For 72,000. 72,050.
Right.
And there wasn't in previous years.
Well, that's the money that's left over in that fund. Which we don't have an active DARE fund anymore. So, and it's really, that was, I believe, its own fund. And it's not being utilized.
So it's just,
But going back to the general fund, which funds police, which funds, you know, all of those things. And if the city does another SRO program with the school district in the future, that'd be great. That you could resurrect the DARE program at that time if you want.
would it have any funds in it?
It'd have to come from the general fund.
Okay, so it'd be another transfer back.
Right, no funds have been eliminated, so that's all, no funds. I'm not saying monies, I'm saying the fund category, like water fund, sewer fund, DARE fund, that sort of thing. And I believe, just to double check, I think there is a DARE fund that is just not, that's basically zeroed out. And I could be wrong. It could be just a line item in the police department. But no funds were combined or eliminated in this proposed budget. So I am not, here it is. It's a special fund. And there is still going to be $13,000 in that fund.
page 1.
That's on page 38. So the DARE fund's not zeroed out.
Okay,
It still has money to do a school assembly or program. You know, the school district invites officers in to do their discussion or an assembly, something like that. Yeah, it's not zeroed out.
Question,
Yes,
the almost 80,000 and some change that the school district owes us, is it paid yet and counted in this budget?
no, it's not.
Is it being worked on to get it
Not by me.
by the attorney at all?
The next interim city manager.
Thank you, because that's something we,
You bet it does.
that's a lot of things.
Well, it's one of the top priorities of the council and on the top of my list to pass on to my successor. There's a lot of things to talk about in the school district, not just that.
Yeah, well, that's the important part of it.
You bet, it's important. Martin, just,
We can move on.
oh, keep going? Okay. Okay, so going through the budget, I'm just kind of flipping through the pages of parks, streets, mayor and council.
I just have a question about the mayor and council.
Yeah,
On that page, but I did see where mayor and council their stipends. I know quite a few of us, did not take our stipends. What happens to that money? Does it just sit there for the next council, or can it be used for something internally if need be? 'Cause I mean, that's 11, that was what, 1,000 something, 1,200, which,
okay, so let me start with using it for something else. And, you can use that $1,200 for anything on the city council materials and services next year. It could be training and conferences, it could be professional.
I know I said that we all did take our stipends, but we will be eventually appointing 2 new ones. So I mean, they could accept their stipends. I don't want to just say that they're not going to accept them, but the ones that did not accept them, there could be. Yeah, I'm just,
So you guys can get through.
so it could also go towards trainings.
You bet.
Okay.
That money, because remember the category, material service category? These line items in there are guides on how to use those material and services money for council. So if you go over on training council and less on stipend, that's all fine, as long as you're in the black, meaning you don't go over the $5,000 at the end of the year. And the way, Oregon local budget law, it's never a use it or lose it thing. With local monies. Now, there could be a use it or lose it when it comes to certain grant monies or federal monies or that. But when it comes to city monies, no, it's not a use it or lose it thing. If you don't use it, it's there in the budget to carry over into the following year. Now, it may not be there next year if you decide to budget differently for it, but it's all part of the money that's available to carry over into the next fiscal year.
I was trying not to ask this question, but I'm going to ask you this, so you understand, please. The DARE fund, is there any, not confused, question. Was there any string attached to get that money initially? Is it fine for support from the DARE fund to something else? Was that allocated there on some kind of grant, or is it just going to be budgeted for? Or the fund itself?
Some of the money came from the Eagles each year and places like
I
that,
want to make sure we're not violating.
not on their money. I'm sure that they would be fine if you all put it public kids.
And I mean, I know the way we're talking about this, it sounds like, I think we've spoken about this actually separately. We're basically, by adopting this budget, we're saying the SRO program is dead unless we make a new contract, correct? That's what we're doing with this budget right here. So when the school district or the parents of the kids come back and say, well, it's a their program, we're shutting down right now by doing this.
Well, not really. I think that you have a healthy police budget. where you can use for community activities, materials and services. Uh, and any kind of a new SRO partnership with the school district would start with personnel services, hiring those officers. If it's done the way it was in the past, the city hires that person and then you provide by contract, basically, those school resource officer responsibilities. So it would start by hiring in our budget. So you wouldn't hire an SRO. You would have to first negotiate and come up with an agreement with the school district. And decide to move forward with an SRO, and then you could put an SRO in the budget as soon as those monies will be available. It could be this fiscal year if it all came together. I think that's a lot, but I think it's something to work for in future years. On agreement with the school district to do that, and then you go through the hiring. And part of the revenue would be that portion that comes in from the school district. Comes in as revenue to the general fund, and then it gets expended as police officers.
Thank you.
So the state tax street fund is dependent on gas taxes. This is page 27. Because I didn't pay attention to interest in this budget. Somebody else wanted to take the time to do it, that's fine, but I have very limited time. And there's something in there for it, that's fine. There's other places where this comes up too. So
Yeah,
it's kind of,
yes, I saw it, yeah.
it's kind of a placeholder. But it's not, they're not the best numbers to rely on. But there's something in there.
So this could be totally whacked then, huh?
Yeah, because it was
Well-
10,000 adopted and then 1,000. Big difference.
Once you try to add.
And then the year
Well,
before that,
and
it's
that-
26,000.
That could have very well, should have been a 10,000, not a 1,000. It's possible. It is possible. And I finally got good numbers to work with. It wasn't that long ago. I think it was Thursday. Was it last week or the week before? Very recently. Was it last week? I was excited. I came in and went, Mayor, we got our numbers today. That was a week ago. Well, 10 days ago, basically.
So that kind of brings me to a slight segue.
Yes.
I know that last week was canceled and we got pushed to this week. I only got this email and this paperwork, I believe, Friday. I've had an extremely busy weekend. I have not had the time to actually fully review beyond a skim. And the few things that I have found that are similar, like this, which are very, very few this time. I just don't feel like I've done it on a script to look it over. Now, that being said, everything you're saying also leads me to believe that in October, we're at least doing a possible supplemental budget. Now that was kind of, so are we gonna have a secondary one to actually give us time to look this over, or are we just, yeah? Or,
It was on the calendar for us to have a second.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks from today. I said I wouldn't do it next week. So I don't know if you-
If you have a second budget meeting, it'd be on May 12th.
Because I know you said trying to adopt it tonight, you said.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I wanted to know what your actual aim was.
To adopt it tonight. Well, approve it tonight, yes. That would be my goal. And again, interest is revenue. You know, I'm taking a very conservative approach on revenues. The state tax street fund does not have any problems, okay? You can see. Because of lack of time, no, I'm not gonna calculate interest on any of these. On the revenue side, conservative approach. Light on your revenue projections, budget what you need for expenditures. I think that bodes well for good news in October-ish, when you update your numbers. I'll come back to the state tax street fund when we do the hearings. And yes,
So we've jumped over a bunch of stuff. Are you planning on going back to administrative expenses and police expenses? Because I actually have a question.
let's go back then, because let's.
You changed my name.
You bet, do the questions that you go.
Officer Camacho was here. Have you seen Officer Camacho?
I skimmed.
Do you feel like this is going to give us an adequate police force?
I mean, for
We have officers, we didn't have a sergeant budgeted last year, we're putting one in now, it's almost as much as the police chief.
Yeah.
yeah, so that lieutenant position is now sergeant position.
Why is that?
Well, and the other question is, why is it 88,000 adopted budget and then it's 119,000? That's what, $30,000 difference?
You said, that's in the report.
And which one are you on?
Police chief.
Line 5, police chief.
Oh, I see.
You're at 99, building then been 87, and 88, and now 120.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
And I'm not saying, these are questions,
Yeah.
I acknowledge the fact I don't know anything, I'm just trying to understand.
Right. So what we've done is we've taken, all the current salaries, adding in, COLAs, adding in a possible step, and adding in percentage for insurance increases expected, and then adding in another 5%. Add those up, it's 14%. So these salaries are intentionally high. In case there's turnover, in case there's other things come up, but again, you budget for possibly for what you need on the expenditure side, conservative on your revenues, so you can balance. If those things don't come to fruition, you don't have turnover, you don't pay those things, those increases don't come to fruition, that money doesn't get spent.
Right.
It gets carried over to the next fiscal year.
To get these numbers, did you, you just added all those extra percentages and we didn't look at surrounding areas and towns that would,
No market study whatsoever.
or any cost of living increases?
Cost of living's, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and,
Last time might be notable too, that
yes,
the union officers, 2 years ago, not Chief West, but the chief before him did a negotiation with the council for what they would get in raises over the next so many years. You guys familiarize yourself back with your interim, I would say, but there were some raises that were projected for future years, if that makes sense.
you bet it does. That's the It's the collective bargaining agreement that,
But that's.
is, in place, until, June 30th of 2026.
And then they'll do it
Uh,
again.
And that provides for step increases on an annual basis as well as COLAs. What I've done is just assumed that that would apply citywide to all employees, those same.
If you give a
amounts.
COLA raise to the public works, you must give it to the police.
No, you don't
Is
have,
what we were told.
there's no must do that, no.
Okay, we were
There,
told that
yeah, it's gotta be equal across the board.
is what we were told.
Well,
That was
that's not the way it works.
Two managers.
That's not the way. it works.
Okay. that's-
You need to do that. So your manager isn't hung by the flagpole the next morning. You gotta be fair.
It's not a must.
It's not, yeah, it's not a, yeah, it
That's
is the
fine.
right thing to do. Treat your employees equally. Whether that comes to fruition or not, that's has to be played out.
Officer Marcus, did you answer, did you say you feel good about the staff?
Well, for, the officers that we have now. Yes.
With this amount of staff, you think you'd be okay?
Yes.
Where's, I'm looking at the administrative expenses, the personnel services for like city manager and the clerk, where's the actual? Now looking at professional services and material services, it's a huge jump from
Yes.
60,000 to 201. Is that payroll?
No, that's consultants, and I'll go through that with you.
Okay.
Let me,
Where is the payroll for administrative?
this, the payroll for all, like your administrative personnel, they're apportioned across the funds. So you can see a piece of the city manager here, water, sewer, storm, and the like.
Great. Where can I see that as a in totality?
Correct. Right.
Where can I see it in totality?
I don't have that.
Okay.
The only thing I changed of the distribution of staff across is the city manager. Because that salary, portion, increased. You know, to where you're looking at market for, you know, a city manager market, it could be between 115 to 135. Okay. So I budgeted at the 135. So that's why those numbers are increased across. But I haven't changed the distribution. That needs to be looked at. I said that in my budget message. We need to look at staff distribution across funds. Where you budget the time of the utility billing clerk, city manager, the city recorder / treasurer / administrative assistant. All of those, where they need to be, and it should be different for all those people. The distribution should be different across the funds.
Put a recorder, treasurer, administration person in the adopted budget, but yet you have a projected budget. Money
Yeah.
for them.
Is that page 21, Patrick?
It's on page 20 for recorder,
Right.
page 21 for recorder.
Okay,
It's, I mean, it's the same amount on both of them. But do we have anyone for that position? I mean, we have 3 people in office. Is there someone directly doing
Yeah.
those positions?
So you'll see it on the recorder, treasurer, administrative assistant line.
Okay.
Because those are the functions that need to be part of the core of administration.
Okay.
And that could be one person or it could be more. But that's where you need to build those core services, those core attributes, those core skills. And it's more descriptive. So I just put it in that line. Treasurer, recorder, that was something that's always been carried through the budget, so I just put it all in that line because those are the core competencies we need in administration.
So why isn't administrative assistant all bunched together? Why is it split on two lines?
It's, it should be,
What page are you looking at?
21.
It's on 21 and
No.
20.
Oh, okay.
police is different because they have a police administrative assistant. That's,
Our administrative assistant for the on page 20. It has a.
correct, yeah,
That's a budget,
that's,
but it's.
that's a different person, that's a different person, right? The police staff are not apportioned anywhere outside of police. Outside of police. Under administration, yes, each one of the staff people in administration are apportioned across.
Well,
the various
I
ones.
guess because on page 28, for the state tax street, it's split again. So it's not just the police department.
Well, correct, but the administrative assistant in police is entirely within the police department. That's, they're not apportioned anywhere else.
Okay.
The administrative assistant in admin is apportioned across.
Oh.
The other funds.
So I think we saw on page 20, I just think they reappropriated it because last year's budget, there was no line 3.
Yeah.
And they just quit, so we have a line 4 for that singular year. I'm assuming that's what's, maybe you can express if I'm reading this correctly, Preston. But line 3 and 4 just seem like a categorization change.
It really is, because we're only talking one person there in the budget for next year. That kind of fulfills all those functions. So it's one line. If you split it up in various lines, it gets, it's,
It's like combining two jobs.
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
Well,
and
it's like
here
we
you're-
had a city manager. And then it had an assistant. Sorry.
Correct. It's only one person that's split among the various funds. Right now, that's our administrative assistant. That's apportioned across the funds. Also in police, there was a discussion about the bargaining unit. I've left notes to my successor about lining up a labor negotiator and having that person ready to go come January. Because in January, the union will send a notice to the city to, hey, guess what? It's time to bargain again for another contract.
With the police.
For police,
Yeah.
yes. So then you get that 6-month notice, it has to be done by June 30th. That's when the current agreement, 3-year agreement expires. So, yeah, the benefits they get from that agreement as far as steps and COLAs, I just apply that to everybody across the board. Just to get it in the budget.
You need to coming up, you talked about those under professional services.
That would fall under general fund, professional services. If it's, let's see, let's look at what they, the police is general fund, so not really needing a lot in there for police to handle just their stuff, so that's more of a general fund thing, where you can get your professional services. So that might be a good time to discuss what's happening under the administration services. And I don't have my cheat sheet with me, but in their professional services, you're talking about some one-time things. Recruitment services for a city manager, $35,000. Another 35 for recruitment, expenses for the city man, bringing, you got your services for a firm, whether it be COG or something, or a private, you got that, and then you got, paying a city manager to, moving expenses, or, getting that person here, him and his family. Those would be other one-time expenses. You've got your labor attorney, you've got your legal services, you've got a lot of legal coming at the city this next year. A typical legal services bill for a city this size would be somewhere around 20 or 25,000. You're looking at least double next year because of all the activity going on. You've got your auditor, about 22,000. You've got the CPA for another 6 months until they get their work done. That's another 22, so you're about 50,000 combined, and more financial consulting services through professional services. That would also include like a labor attorney, 5,000-6,000 to negotiate an agreement, unless you've got a city manager that has those skills. You won't need to hire a negotiator. My guess is you've got a plan for it. Whether you use it or not, you have a plan for it. And there's not too many city managers out there anymore that do labor negotiations, like I did for decades. That's probably not going to be the case for Germans. But so you got to plan for all those professional services you might need. So I can go grab my notes, but when I tallied it all up, we were talking about 211,500, and that includes $25,000 for services that I couldn't think of. Planning services is another consulting service. It comes out of the general fund. That's another $25,000. Again, based on the amount of activity you have. If you don't have a lot of activity, that doesn't get spent. So it is quite a spike for next year. That should be cut down substantially in the subsequent year. There's a lot of other minor things that come out of that too, like custodial services for City Hall. It's like $6,000. So it adds up. It adds up over time. And I think I hit the highlights. I could probably get more detail for you there, Jesse, but that's you were astute in picking that up. That's a big spike. It's one of the few big spikes in our budget. Really is. Yes. Yes. And we talked about streets, parent council, in court, parks. We want to talk about parks, maybe. Street fund, we talked about street fund a little bit. Our enterprise funds, water and sewer. You can see that the revenue, again, very conservative on utility billing receipts.
Legal services been split up between all the professional services also.
Not really. It's kind of putting it in different places in case you need them out of those functional areas. Like, if our legal services is needed on water, then water will pay for those out of materials and services, or wastewater, or streets. General fund stuff, is where most of it is, you know, nearly all of it is right now. It will all come out of general. So it's not really that it's split up, it's there in those functional areas if you need it. Again, you go through, you see a general fund, then you see more about park fund, and later on you come to a park fund budget, then you come to an STC fund, and yeah, you streamline by removing those departments. You know, every operational fund basically has got like your operations fund, you got your STC fund, and then if you need it, a debt service fund or a reserve fund, and that's it. You don't need departments in the general fund. But that's what we've got. I haven't eliminated any of that. That's something to look at. The next person, they can clean that up. If they want. The budget can be lost. My guess is next time we convene, well, for the next fiscal year, that would be cleaned up by then. But that's something to talk about in October. When you, I'd say that's probably too much to do this fiscal year. There would be an expectation, maybe we clean that up for the fiscal year 2027.
You skipped over some pages. I have a question.
Yeah.
The transfer to the 4th of July fund is doubled from last year.
Yes, it is. And
From 4,000 to page 26,
correct. So if you go to that fund,
line 14.
that's right, that's on the transfer statement. So if you go to the actual fund itself, that is coming up here. Instead of looking at the table of contacts. Oh, yes. Page 44. There's two special funds there, the 4th of July fund and the special event fund, which is great. So you can see under the 4th of July fund that we've got a negative beginning fund balance. Right. So that needs to be satisfied before you can.
So you kind of added that in.
Correct. And the way I understand that the 4th of July in the past has been a collection point or sometimes community fundraising, vendor fees, donations, all of that. That's really not my style. I don't want to be collecting donations on anywhere. Should be a special fund set up for that. That's really neither here nor there. What it does is with this transfer of $8,100, it satisfies the negative balance and it satisfies any concern in the past about where did that money go? Whether it was from ticket sales or donations or vendor fees, you not only have a good operating budget for next fiscal year, but all of those, any concerns about the past on this fund are in the past. They're taken care of with that transfer. And really the city shouldn't be accepting donations. They shouldn't be accepting raffle ticket sales. They shouldn't do any of that. There's a way to do it. This is not the best way to do it. You really need a nonprofit that can do that for you. And every successful community has a nonprofit that can act as an umbrella for fundraisers for various groups, or the Girl Scouts, or the kids wanting to go to Washington D.C. middle school. They're raising money. You have a good nonprofit that's set up to accept donations, charitable donations, on behalf of these groups. Every successful community has a nonprofit like that. It sounds like the community progress team could be that. I don't know if there are others available, but that's where the fundraising should be. We don't, people that donate to the city or something, it should be a rare thing, project oriented, whatever. We don't give tax deductible certifications. We don't do that. If the city were to set up a fund where you're accepting donations, say you're raising money to get a park land and develop. And you've already got a land donation for a park. That's a great way to start. And other people want to donate, maybe in that person's honor, this and that. You have this fund set up as accepting donations. Nothing else goes in there, only those monies. Very clean, and it's dedicated to this park in perpetuity. These kind of things, like the 4th of July fund, they get lost. Who donated what, when, where? What were the expectations? We can't be tracking this stuff. And it's not the best way. Best way is through a nonprofit that can issue a receipt for charitable donation. So
There would be a special account, would be going into the hands of the members of the nonprofit. There would be an account set up, there would be like a Square account set up, or there would be a paper trail showing that all of that money is going in, which would be shared with the city.
correct.
The confusion I had was we went from our supplies, one year was $1,000, the next year was $8,700, $8,500. How do we jump $7,700 and then $3,000 in debt for that year? I mean, it's gotta be, what's traceability on that? Why are we $3,000 in the hole on 4th of July? Then I'm wondering.
Good question. What I'm saying is, you make this transfer, you don't need to worry about that. You solved it.
Is that was money, but where is that money?
Well, now it's in this 8,100, you see.
Right, but it was negative. In there.
Correct.
My concern is not that. My concern is to make sure future. That's
Exactly.
That's all I want to know is know what happened, why it happens, make sure it doesn't have to get it. That's the only thing I'm.
Right.
Well, I don't think we can answer that question until everything's been reconciled, correct?
No, you won't get those kind of answers.
Yeah.
Those kind of answers are a lot of digging. And what I've tried to do is say, let's satisfy those costs.
Because if
Any-
it costs more to dig than it would be for. Does that
It
make?
could,
Also,
Good.
Right, and then-
we want to spend all our time figuring out what happened, and we want to try to find a path forward and make plans so that again.
right. That's where I'm at.
That too is where, you know, if you bring the nonprofit in, like I said, having a designated Square account or PayPal or whatever it is, where that money doesn't touch anybody's hands, but that person that is donating on the computer or whatever, goes straight into an account for the 4th of July. And then that information is shared, all receipts for everything are provided. And that's how it used to be, you had receipts for everything, and that showed. So there wasn't this
No, I understand.
missing. You know what I mean?
But you say donate, and he's saying we shouldn't have donations at
No.
all.
He's
Right.
saying through the CBT, if people, through the nonprofit that is chosen, that they would be the ones to collect the money. What I'm saying is, rather than have it go to any person's hands, you would have a Square account or a PayPal account or something like that, where that money would go straight into a special account.
But that one person has to be available at all times.
Well,
Right.
nonprofits to have a board. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be one person, it would be a group. Correct me if I'm wrong, Preston, what I'm hearing you saying, I really could be wrong, please correct me. Is that we're doing this right now because it's tradition, but it's better served in a progress team in the city map. Facilitate it.
Correct.
Facilitate, we can help support it, but we wouldn't be facilitating, take that off the city's hands. I think this is what you're trying to say.
Yes, yes, we work with a nonprofit for them to accept donations. And it could be for 4th of July or anything else that goes on. But the city shouldn't be accepting donations, basically. Yeah, you've got expenses in there and things can happen with the vendors and supply, all that's all legitimate. But on the revenue side, you'd be limited. You'd be limited on what goes into the 4th of July fund.
Isn't it in the past, my understanding, businesses donated barbecues or whatnot for the raffle? And then the money from the raffle paid for the fireworks, no?
Okay, so originally what it was set up to do, and this came from not Annie, but the previous mayor, was that the city provided $3,000. Okay, that money went to cover fireworks. If the city was buying, things like we had to rent, for example, the dump tank. We had to, back in the day, rent from Hubbard, their only rickety children's kind of, the games, things that we've always had, the little frames. And then we went so far as to get that donated and build our own, then we gave that. The whole plan was to be able to have the 4th of July self-sustaining with the money that was raised. The city not having to put any money in. It did get to that point one year, and then it just fizzled out. So the whole goal was to have it self-sustaining. And that money would be in that's where, like what he's talking about with the donations, if I'm understanding you correctly, the money that's collected by the nonprofit goes directly into an account. That money would sit there, the city and the nonprofit would have those statements showing what's there, what's gone in, what's gone out for dump tank or what have you, each year, and that money would continue to build.
Why would the city, they wouldn't be involved in it, so why
Right,
would
it's
they get it?
accountability. It's accountability so that the nonprofit is, it's within the city is where the event's happening.
It is.
Even though it's not a city event, it's just a common courtesy to let them know kind of where things are going. And it gives the city kind of an idea of, hey, these people are really donating this much or this little, what do we do to change it?
If it's not a city event that you're putting on, are there any legalities there? If you're having the event that is not sponsored by the city that you're having it in?
Well, it all depends, but yes, it could be. Is it being conducted on city property? Is it like the cleanup day this weekend? That was all on private property. The 4th of July might be a combination.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yes, there could be liabilities for volunteers that you get waiver forms from, or it could be it's the city eventually, it evolves a few years down the line. The city basically runs the 4th of July. There is no community piece to it. Unlikely, but something like the cleanup day is maybe a better example. How it starts private, the city works partnership, eventually it becomes all city. That doesn't make it bad. That's just sort of the way a lot of great community events evolve. I've had 3 cities with cleanup days. They all started as private, 100% private events that eventually the city took that over. The 4th of July, I think, is going to be Jervis's signature event. So there should be room there for community of, groups and collaborations. And if there's a fundraising arm, that should be a nonprofit that takes up that fundraising. How much the city gets concerned with, site prep and safety and things like that, all depends, really. If you talk to someone from our insurance group, they'd say it's one of the most important things in the world that you cover all those bases. You talk to the city manager, well, that depends. Depends on the nature of the event. It could be that the donations all go toward paying the firewalls. So whatever's raised, that nonprofit chips in and helps pay for firewalls.
Look, just so I understand it, the nonprofit also, and would they be responsible for all the insurances and everything since it's not city? So they would have to take care of that.
Correct.
Can I give a good example? So circuit. The circus has always, been covered by insurance, by CPT. We have to make sure that we have waivers for volunteers. We have to make sure that they know exactly where it is, how many, animals or what have you, the capacity. That's something that we always do, and it has to be $1 million policy minimum. And for example, last year we did 2 shows. Well, we did 2 days, 6 shows, and no problems at all. And it's been that way for since we've been here almost 20 years. And every other year, for those that don't know, is when it comes. It'll be back next year. But yeah, that's always been covered by the nonprofit. So if that was going to be the case where the city was going to do that, yes, CPT or whichever nonprofit was chosen would be the ones that would have to cover that. And be the umbrella. But again, because it's on city property, out of respect and cohesiveness, they would see a contract for the insurance and all of that good stuff before the event is even put on.
It's good, and I'm not saying it would happen. Could the city deny letting you do it on their property?
I mean, we were denied being able to do the Easter egg hunt last year, so I guess so.
Okay, well, I'm just wondering.
No,
I don't know these things, so I need to
Yeah.
ask.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying, like, we weren't allowed to do the Easter egg hunt last year at the park, so yes, that's your question. They can deny
Okay,
it.
But your question's a good one, Kathy, as far as like, city-sponsored activities versus non-city sponsored activities. The 4th of July being the signature event, I would think that the city's, gonna be involved in that every year, The other fund though is a special events fund. And that's for that is in there to address other types of activities that can come up. It could be city-sponsored activities or not. And there is no policy to help the manager decide when to spend money on these. And that could be just fine. But you might have an event for your downtown. Might plan an event for a special occasion. These are monies here that can allow you to spend on those events.
FHA comes in, they want to do like a little bunny barn or something for the kids to be able to go scale the animals. Something like that.
Could be, sure.
I'm just wondering.
You bet. You bet, especially if you've got it on at a city park or, city hall or something, but yeah, this just allow, and so I didn't add a whole lot into this, but something there, as kind of placeholders for other special community events.
I think the only other thing, PDT does the Easter egg hunt, National Night Out, working with the PD, since it's not, our PD isn't doing it, but it's been known as a PD. And then movies in the dark, that's all. And plus, PBT also helps fund the Winter Festival when they don't have any funds. So, those are events that are done. Now, I know that, you know, we just started doing the Winter Wonderland walkthrough, which was a really, really good event. But again, those are events that the city doesn't have to concern themselves with because they're taken care of by them.
So this kind of went from, 1,000 to 1,500 generally to a budget of 7,000 this next year. Seems like a good number. Without a lot of specific activities in mind, it's a placeholder, so you can augment those community events if they come up.
It's the residents of council want to.
Right.
Well, one thing to note too is this year Roger and Michael and I were talking, it was gonna be $3,000 for the fireworks and we only have a budget of 4,000 for the 4th of July. Preston did talk about raising that in the new budget. Because when you're taking 3,000 out of the budget to make sure that we have a good fireworks show, not a 10-minute, you have to be able to work around those things, but having that extra that's being added in for next year will help to, we were approached about getting, a small Ferris wheel. And I guess a lot of cities do those, and it's like $1,200 to get a Ferris wheel.
And then the liability insurance on it.
Right, but that is something that's covered in the contract.
Yeah,
So that's already there.
But it ups the price of it.
It's, yeah, we reached out and had a little, long conversation actually, at $1,200 for everything, so yeah.
I have questions that are completely unrelated to all this. It's more from our lay people. I believe we put the budget committee last year, yes, it's so you too. You made a comment earlier today about seeing this on Friday and not feeling completely comfortable with the research you did, correct? Are we gonna be able to get a vote tonight, or would you want to see those numbers first? I know your goal is never done tonight. That sounds fantastic. How everybody wants to do this again, but are you all going to feel comfortable without looking at that prior data to even have a vote tonight? It's specifically to you because you guys have the most experience of all.
I wouldn't say we have the most experience. We've been through it once.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was concluded in one night.
It was, okay.
Yes, it was last year. I will say, to me, there weren't as many red flags as I'm seeing now.
If you would like to, I have the last one.
Oh, no, it was just a question of,
Yeah.
we've been here for 2 hours. I don't feel close to done. If it's something that that people want to go home and look at it, then we'll do that as opposed to sitting here and then we need to go home and look at it. Or if we think we can get through it tonight, then let's keep on pushing.
I'll be done in 3 minutes,
Oh, wow.
but questions could go on and on and on.
Well, you can probably conclude in 3 minutes. I'm sure you can do that. But will we be able to come to a consensus that we want this budget in 3 minutes?
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Do you feel like you guys can get to a place where we can say yes this tonight, or would you feel better if we took an extra time to look?
But I've been hearing most of the night, the fact that these numbers are unfortunately just for now estimates because they're still not done.
That's not gonna change.
Nothing's gonna change there, so.
Good point.
This is not even, I'm sorry, but for me, it's nice, but it's not real. If you're saying it's gonna be 6 months down the road before we get real numbers,
But this has to be put in.
and then this is like, okay, well, it's all a draft anyways. There's a bunch of red flags because it's not
Well,
finalized.
the budget they passed last year had the same problem.
Exactly. And last year I asked for the stipulation that we would reconvene and do the supplemental. That never happened. And I got pretty perturbed and I kept bringing it up and I kept getting pushed back. And lo and behold, we're further behind now.
Correct.
So I'm fine saying yes to this under the stipulation that we get that actual supplemental, and no matter what, I'm gonna raise Red Fury if we don't have it in October.
Everybody here knows that these are not the exact numbers like we really want to see.
Exactly.
But the agree should be that, I do agree, we say flat out, in 6 months, whatever time frame we get, we need to go ahead and reconvene and triple check and make sure everything is on par that it should be.
Yes, because he, like you said, he put in numbers and there's some zeros missing from places, there's. Looking at the water fund, water department, there's numbers in here, they're like. $3,000 higher budget for this year than they were last year, like, there's some big jumps in a lot of numbers.
One thing
So
I've
like
been
one thing is
researching,
almost $32,000.
So which one?
There was that one thing I was talking about earlier that had a $32,000
The
That's-
jump and then went down, and that was like, whoa.
what I've been doing the research on, a lot of people I've heard from the residents, they were complaining about, hey, how is it before they'd sit there and have budget and be able to move the funds all over the place? Nobody knew what's going on. Well, like you said in the beginning, do the research and start checking out those seats and talking to them, you find out that that's actually standard procedure for them to move that stuff all the time, to make sure that that budget stays in the black, make sure it stays up there. What is not normal is trying to run it like a budget and say, we will not move any of the stuff. This is the number we're going to stick with no matter what. That's
Yeah.
where the city's coming and starting to have a lot of problems. So, and I think a lot of people don't realize that in the community. They're like, why was all this stuff moved all over the place? Well, because that's what the city needed to do in order to make sure we stayed black on all lines for the year.
I do have a question though, because I don't think I saw it on the police and the public works, but we are needing to hire for those positions. Are those positions being budgeted in for next year?
Yes, we have,
Did I miss it?
we have two new staff people.
Because I know
One is a utility worker who's been
which one was it?
given a job offer
Okay,
and
I read this. You have it then.
Yeah, 'cause it shows the three officers.
Yeah, it shows the officers.
She got the public works.
I'm sorry.
right, so
Oh,
this
yeah, I-
budget,
So.
yeah, this budget has two new employees in it. One public works utility worker and one police officer who we're just beginning advertising for now.
Okay.
So anticipating, yes, two new people in the budget next year. And the utility worker had a weekend to think about it and now accepted our offer.
Yes, I'm sorry.
We gotta go through the pre-employment checks, everything. That's the stage we're at.
It's very,
It's great news. Yes.
great.
Okay, 3 minutes left to the finish.
He can find his own right.
I'm saying he's not gonna get kidnapped.
So the rest of this budget document, you've got a glossary of terms, and then a last section at the back, it's called Proposed Comprehensive Financial Management Policies. And there's a dozen pages here of financial policies. I say proposed only because there's a couple of them in here that are suggested. They have to be adopted. The bulk of this is state law. It's part of every city's comprehensive financial policies. And it's good, and it's a good place to have them. It's a good place to bring them forward in each budget process. But there are some things here like a reserve policy. We talked about how important it is to have a reserve in a contingency in your general fund. How important it is to have a reserve in your capital enterprise funds. Those are policy decisions that you haven't made yet. That's why I list them as proposed. But most of these are basic accounting regulations according to Oregon local budget law. So I'm not going to go through any of those. They're there. They're in one place, and that's good. These can be a subject for future council and budget committee discussions. So that's why this one is proposed. So that's the budget for next year.
Just for clarification, so we have the 50,000 for the grants onto the the general fund. That means the total amount of revenue, for the district is gonna be $7,052,000.
Correct. Yeah, so specifically that motion, would be $7,052,027. If there weren't any other changes. So this budget document's got a lot in there. It's got projects, a lot about the city. It's a good resource for people, budget committee members to refer to, and be knowledgeable about how the city's funded and the programs that you provide and the services. And one thing I like to do with the budget is to have more summary pages. We don't even have to look at the line items, but there's summary pages. No time to do that for this. So it was a big effort to get this done in the format that you see. It's solid, not as solid as we all would like, but it's our best faith estimate. And it's not just me. A lot of people worked on this. The only information now that you need basically in order to deliberate and consider a vote would be to conduct 2 public hearings, which you certainly can do right now if you're ready for it. We advertise and notice all our budget meetings as hearings tonight, 2 hearings on state shared revenues and the general budget. So if you so desire, Chairwoman Skinner, the first public hearing would be on the uses of state shared revenues. And there are a lot in the budget. We're talking general fund. We're talking taxes, cigarette, liquor, marijuana taxes, as well as gas taxes. You add all that up, it's $339,500 on state shared revenues. These are discretionary monies. And the purpose of the hearing would be to hear from the public on how they may want to see that money or portions of it spent a certain way.
Do we have anyone online even?
Well, what you'd want to do, Chairwoman Skinner, is to bang the gavel and open the hearing on the uses of state shared revenue for the next fiscal year and see if anybody wants to provide testimony.
It still needs officiated. Only one person's here. So.
Bang that gavel. All open. Okay.
Come on, Amy, that was me.
I opened the public hearing on the uses of state shared revenue. Is there any comment from the public?
Anybody online? I don't know. Is there anybody online? Okay.
Would you bang that?
The link was broken. I tried being on my phone, it went.
Oh,
We got all the meeting.
Yeah.
can we even have it if it's down?
Pardon me?
Can we have this if it's down? Yeah.
That was kind of my question to begin with. No one's like here.
Yeah,
If it's not functioning.
Council session. Sure.
I want to do it legally, so whatever way you tell me, like, I want to make sure it's legal. I just don't know if I can. That's the main thing.
Per the charter,
Being
council
your-
meetings need to be recorded. posterity's sake.
Correct.
So if it's started, no one's like.
So the recording is one thing.
It's still recording.
Is it still recording?
Yeah, I can see the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a upper right hand, left hand, there's a red
Some
button.
people can't connect
Oh.
online.
Right. So I would recommend that the budget committee move forward. So hearing no public testimony, bang the gavel, and that hearing's closed. Same thing with the next, moving down deliberations, and let's say you approve the budget tonight.
Can we approve it with a contingency? That we want another meeting in October?
You certainly could, make that, I would say make that a separate decision. Because this decision goes in the minutes and eventually it's what gets passed on to city council. Eventually, we send the budget to the state, the county. I don't know if you want to just clutter that up with. I'd say just make it a separate motion. That somebody make a motion to establish that the budget committee would like to meet in about 6 months' time for a mid-year review, along with budgetary changes, possibly a supplemental budget. Nothing wrong with that. I think that's just really prudent.
I think the whole idea is not to have a would like to, because that would time you're supposed to be able to do it, and it never happens.
Yeah.
Make we propose,
Make it time certain, but
yes.
pick a date in October.
Who's the person who's like,
Just
say
go on.
Brian wanted to have a meeting, he said, we're having, or is it Amy, she's our chair, who's the person who said we're having? Is the city manager or is it?
It really kind of is both when you try to get everybody there, you know, and 6 months from now, find out when everybody can make it. You could make a motion to be specific and say, we want to meet again in
No, no, who
October.
needs to make the motion? Is it the mayor or? is
Well,
it the-
anybody on
It
that.
doesn't matter,
Yeah,
okay.
Any commitment, make a motion,
Okay.
second, vote on it, and say, we want to meet again for a mid-year financial review in October.
About the meeting and the fact that, it's broken. So it's a public meeting and you're saying that we haven't heard from anybody, but technically we they couldn't hear from anybody
The
because of
entire,
links.
the
So is
entire,
that
I
like a
disagree. The entire community was invited. This is on the
Right.
website. They had a chance to be
problem?
here.
That's not what I'm saying.
And I hear what you're saying, but right now it is being recorded. That's the most important thing. And we're having public hearings, just like it was already on the agenda.
Because when they get backlash from people that can't.
I'm sure so. You're correct. But again, they have an opportunity to be here if they want.
So one way to correct that, or I should say really correct, but to massage that, I guess, I don't know, bad word, but when you go to adopt, when the council goes to adopt the final budget in June, you'll have another hearing on the budget at that time. You can have another hearing on state shared revenue and just plan on it.
I'm personally, my personal belief is we need to do that in September, October, because that's when we're gonna have real numbers. When people can actually discuss what we actually have, not what we think we have right now.
Well, the opportunity to have another hearing though is to collect input from the public before you adopt the budget. So doing that in June gives people another opportunity. And I can add that to my,
That's what actually better numbers.
for, yeah, you may not have any better numbers in June. You most likely won't, but you could. But
Talking about 6 months down the road.
yeah,
We can-
yeah, 6 months, that's yes, you could have hearings in the event, but the purpose, the statutory purpose for these hearings now is to collect testimony from the public before you adopt. And so I would say, move ahead, do what you need to do tonight. And just provide a second opportunity for a hearing in June. And that covers the possibility that maybe somebody online didn't get to testify.
In June before the final.
Correct, in June,
Thank you.
right.
So then with no public testimony, I move on to, item number 5. No, sorry, 6. Public hearing in the fiscal year 2026 recommended budget. Anyone? A comment? With no comments being heard, we're gonna move on to, we're gonna close the public hearing and move on to item number 7, committee deliberation. I think we pretty much all deliberated and kind of know our action plan going forward. Anyone disagree with that or have additional comments? Okay,
From other residents that I've talked to, like I said, this budget is not what we wanted. But, you know, we thought it was gonna be presented, but knowing that it's going to be down the road, we have to make stipulations going forward, to make sure that we actually are still following this. Again, let the public discuss it before the final approval. Done.
so is now when I would make a motion that we reconvene in October
You can,
to do not just the secondary hearing, but also supplemental budget and any changes that might need to be done to the budget at that time.
Could I say we 6 months assuming that everything's been reconciled?
Yes,
correct. Right, there's a lot of moving parts, and about 6 months is when it should all be going together. Yeah,
I want that to, I don't want to have another meeting if it's not reconciled yet. Correct.
yes,
right. Right, you've got 3 major things going on. You got the audit, fiscal year 2024 audit. You've got the year-end changes for the current fiscal year. And then you've got reconciling all that with the budget is for next year. So there's 3 big efforts there that come in, get all done to where, at that point, you've got great numbers, a good foundation. Best, all your beginning fund balances are solid. And even better numbers could be inputted in our municipal software.
So this one right here, this motion would be to.
Can I throw it out there? Yeah, got it, please. I'm gonna make a motion on October 27, 2020, which is a Monday, that we reconvene to do a supplemental budget, assuming that everything's been reconciled.
What's the date?
October 27th, 26th. I put 2028, so in the future, but not 25. October 27th, 2025.
Okay. 27.
26th or 27th?
27th, it's a Monday.
So let me restate that just so I got, you're making a motion to,
On a supplemental,
convene the budget committee on this date, for, mid-year financial review.
sure. Assuming everything's been reconciled.
Well, even if it's not done, get a review.
Fine.
Yeah, see,
Whatever you say.
well, yeah, I mean, see, you get enough that you know what was not.
Right.
The only piece that's lagging or something. And this sets it down to, for staff and consultants to, let's get this done. You know, does that sound?
Yes, yes.
Convene the budget committee for a mid-year financial review, October 20th. Well, ideally, yeah, you take care of all those things right now,
A second.
okay? Okay,
Okay, gotta call vote now. If I think that you are.
Usually a roll call vote.
Okay.
Roll call vote. Kathy,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Jesse. Brian.
Aye.
Like these.
Yes.
Needs to vote to-
Oh, I,
Motion second.
But you can say it.
oh, motion second and approved.
right on, okay.
Can I make a motion to recommend approval of city service budget for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, establishing revenues, property taxes, and all appropriations in the amount of $7,052,27.
Didn't you change that one?
I did change it.
Oh,
Yeah,
It was 7,000,002. I put 52. But thank you for checking on so make this take a look.
I just want to hear real good.
a second. Okay. Second passes. Oh, sorry. Roll call vote. Kathy,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Jesse.
Aye.
Aye. Brian.
Aye.
Lisa.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Close the meeting.
I now close this budget committee meeting at 9:30. Thank you. Thanks.
Good job, thank you.
It's sleeping.
I know it's-